Hi to all my stitching buddies and friends. I'm working today on Sad Fairy. This is a regular chart, so it's quite big, and I have been parking up to this point, but recently something interesting happened a couple of days ago, and I decided to just sort of ride with the wind, and this is what happened. And I just got a little bit fed up of doing the whole blocks and rows, so I needed a bit of a change, and I came around here and just did a load of cross-country stitches. These are half stitches, so it's only half a cross stitch, and this is a 25 count fabric. So how did I feel about just sort of going, you know, wild and free and doing some of these crazy stitches off the grid? Well, to be honest, it was a little bit liberating. It's kind of like breaking out from prison in a way. I do like the parking method because it's quite methodical, and you know exactly, you know, where you have to start and where you have to end, and it's like a routine type of pattern. But with cross country, you know, it's totally up to you, and I think sometimes that stresses me because I think, oh God, I just want to do all of it, just want to tidy it all up. But I stopped thinking about tidying it up, and this is what I came to, and I found that it was a little bit liberating. I don't know how I would ever be able to get back now to a parking method because of what's happened, but really I wanted to just see a little bit of progress somewhere else. I was doing the sky for ages, so I thought I'm going to try and just go a bit mad, see if I can get a bit of the face, and then I'll just work myself. I'll just work around the canvas, whichever way. I'm just not going to stress about it, basically. So it'd be great if you can stay with me, and I'm going to stitch a little bit more, but this time I'm going to do a bit of the cross-country stitching that I've been doing. So there's not going to be any parking, which is going to be different because everybody's kind of used to seeing me parking and rethreading my needle every like 3 seconds. So let's get going, and I'm going to start by choosing something that isn't going to make me have to rethread my needle straight away. So I think the idea is, I think what I found is it doesn't matter which way you're doing it, but as long as whichever way you're doing it, you don't get too fussy about it, or you don't fret too much about it, because I think the actual fretting is what makes it start. You overthink. I think there is a way to overthink and worry too much about starting in the wrong place, starting in the right place, doing the right method. Just, you know, go with your instinct. I think going with instinct is probably the best way to get around it. Now, which end am I going to start from here? Let's just see, because I've got a whole load of like a pink here now, so I can do this pinky section, but I just need to figure out where my starting spot is. So there's 2 stitches there, and 2 down, so 1, 2, I think I'm in the right place. The other thing as well that I didn't do was I didn't have it on a stand when I was doing all my confetti, when I was doing all this cross country, and I just kind of had it on my lap, which kind of felt more traditional, felt more like that I was actually stitching, I was actually sewing, as opposed to doing something like a fine arts painting or something really intricate. Felt a bit more traditional, so to speak. And I've actually ordered a grid, a fabric pen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually put some squares in, so that, because I keep saying, last night my husband was saying to me, you know, when you go wrong, you're really going to be angry with yourself for not having put a small grid. And I was saying, oh, I won't go wrong, I won't go wrong. But you know, famous last words and all that, it seems very likely that it's going to happen at some point, especially if I continue down this chart of just going cross country in whatever manner I feel. I think he might have a point. And then he'll be like, I told you to put in a grid. So I've actually gone with his advice. And even if I don't draw in the entire square, what I might do is just draw in just a few little crosses on the edges, just to guide me, to make sure that, because I mean this whole blank space is quite scary. When I started coming down here, I was thinking, should I not? Am I brave enough? Will I have to unpick all this later? And the last thing you want to do is be frogging all evening. Trust me, it's not pleasant. Nobody likes it. So this is it's actually quite relaxing if you don't worry about going wrong. I'm more inclined to panic if I've done like a huge amount and then I see that one stitch is wrong and I think the whole thing is wrong, but often it's not. It's just that you might have just made a mistake with that one stitch. But the worry is that that one stitch mistake is going to lead to an absolute nightmare of a mess for everything else around it. I think that's the worry that we have. So how has everybody's week gone? Has everybody been busy stitching? Have you all, how have you gotten on with your projects? Has anybody finished their project? Have you started new ones? If you're anything like me, I'm always looking at patterns and thinking, shall I start one? Shall I start? No, I'll just carry on with what I'm doing. Maybe I'll wait a bit longer. So it's been a fairly busy week for me actually, because I've started painting again and I've started doing some pet portraits because I have got quite a bit of painting experience, or sketching, whatever you want to call it, and I really wanted to get back into doing something a little bit different again as a break from the cross stitch. So I am doing pet portraits and they're coming out really nice, and I'm getting people asking me if I can do some for their pets and that, so it's looking quite promising. But again, that does sort of take away from our stitching day, but you know, everything falls into place eventually, and whatever we're meant to be doing we end up doing anyway. So as long as you feel like the time that you've spent is rewarding you in some way, then there's no harm done. So it does kind of feel really strange to not be rethreading my needle by this point. But wow, how many extra stitches did I do using this cross-country method was just ridiculous. I mean, I think I got to like 700 or 800 in a day. I couldn't believe it when I looked at the stats. I said, no way could I have done that many. But I did, and I think because you're just going with the flow, you're actually doing so many more. So you're probably thinking, I'm converted now to cross-country. I don't know. I could always go back to parking one day. I could wake up and think, oh my God, what's happened? I've totally lost my mind. Let's get back to some orderly status. and start parking again. But I hope that doesn't happen actually, because I'm quite enjoying the freedom of this at the moment. It kind of feels naughty, like I've been a naughty girl, done something wrong. Kind of expect to be, you know, sent into the corner fairly soon. But as for relaxing, yeah, it is relaxing. As long as you don't miscount, we are A-OK. I am really keen to see this lady's face, this fairy's face too. But like many people have said, if you do the most interesting part first, you'll struggle to get to the rest. So I'm actually going to take this off, and after I've completed a bit of an area, even if it's not her whole face, I'm going to go back and do some more of the surrounding, just to make sure that I don't get too, happy. So I'm just going to carry on stitching along here. And I don't want to go wrong, because that will mean having to unpick everything again, and I don't really want to do that. I've done so well so far. I don't want to go wrong with this cross country to the point where it kind of puts me off, and then I'll have to go back to the parking, because I'm quite enjoying this at the moment. But if I make a huge mistake, it might be just the thing that catapults me back into the parking method. And yeah, okay, that isn't the worst thing in the world, but I am kind of enjoying the relative relaxedness, if that's a word, of this particular way of stitching. So I'm coming to near the end of this thread now. I don't know if I can get another row done. I'm certainly going to give it a shot. So I'm going to go back along this way. Oh, this keeps coming out now. I think I might just have to get a new thread. I'm kind of enjoying the freedom of this for the moment. Maybe I've kind of been stuck in my parking cell for too long. But I don't really care, because for the moment, I'm just going with what I feel like doing. And I've had a load more stitches done because of it. A lot more. Sometimes these stitches are just scattered everywhere, and you don't actually know which direction to go in, because they literally are scattered everywhere. Which direction do we go? Let's try and hop one to the right, because I don't have a lot of thread left, so I'm kind of guesstimating how many more stitches I can do on this side. If I play my cards right, I can finish a tiny block. It's always great, isn't it, when you've done a little block and they line up right with the other ones, and you just think, oh, thank God for that. because if they didn't line up with something else that you've met on the way, where am I going? Then you know it's frogging time. That's it. That's about as much as I can do with that thread because it's getting a little tight. There, so that's not looking too bad. It's kind of more interesting, isn't it, than the parking, because it's more like a jigsaw puzzle, I think. Although they both have their pros and cons for definite. They absolutely do. Now I wonder whether to fill in a few more of these areas. There's a little block of colour that I can do. There's a little block of colour here. Oh, it's white. I can't. Oh, white. White is killing me. The white threads are absolutely killing me. I'm gonna go. See, I'm just being indecisive now. Terribly indecisive. Gosh, where am I even looking at? Yeah, I think I may go up here now and do some of these. What colour's that? Okay, that's not white, so it's not going to sting my eyeballs too much. If I play my cards right, I won't be spending an evening with the frog. So I'm up here. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Being absolutely sure that I'm in the right place. Yeah, I think so. I think I am. It is definitely easier to make a mistake than when you're actually parking. There's no question. That's 1, 2. It's also easier to cross things off without having to tap the little parking symbol all the time. I'm not sure that stitch went down very well. Pull on that one a little bit more. So not going too badly at the moment. I'd probably go a bit faster actually if I had this on my lap, to be honest. I just get a sense that I would. Oops, no, there's a space there. That's why it's important to keep looking at the chart. No, I'm wrong. There isn't a space there. There is a space above that. They're really sort of relaxed, lovely, neutral colours that we've got going on here. Pale pinks and pale greens, really magical colours. Sometimes that needle just doesn't want to go through. This is quite a straightforward section because it's basically just doing vertical lines. So if I look away, I don't even remember where I am. I thought I was down here for a second. That's the other thing. And one thing I did do last night was I looked away. For instance, I was working up here and I looked away, and instead of going through that hole, I went through a hole down here and started working down here. And then it didn't line up with everything beside it. So I thought, what the hell have I done? And I just jumped from there, say, down to there, because I got mixed up where I was working. And that's just because I looked away for a second. So that can happen. So I think before I look away next time, I'm actually going to leave my needle poked through the hole. Just so that doesn't happen again. Thank goodness I didn't go on for too long before I realised. Because even when you turn to look at Pattern Keeper, you can get confused when you look back again. Oh, put the needle back before I look away. Okay. So I've actually done 100 stitches since I've been sitting here, whereas normally I would have got done about 60 maybe, if I'm lucky, if I was parking. So that's just to show you how many more stitches you actually get done. So yeah, I've moved out of the parking camp for the moment, and I've moved into the cross-country club. And how long my stay is welcome, I do not know. We shall find out. For all you know, I'll be back next week saying, I've tidied everything up and now I'm back to my blocks. Oh gosh, I've lost where I am. Okay, I'm here. I don't want to be lost. Ah, don't get lost. That was the last stitch in there. Now I'm going to jump 3 stitches to the right. And I don't mind jumping. Don't mind jumping a bit. Now this whole row starts again down here. Yeah, I'm going to jump down to this end, I think. So we're really getting a lot of the top of her head done actually. Quite a lot. Getting into the flow. And I'm just going to do a few more stitches and that will be my session for today, because the weather is lovely and I want to get outside, catch a few little sun rays, because I don't like to sit down all day long. I mean, in theory I wish I could, but in practice it's not so ideal. And I think I'm going to leave it there today. So what do you think? Do you think I've completely gone bonkers? Or do you actually think I've unshackled my chains and moving forward to pastures new? So let me know what you think. And I'll see you again soon. Have a great weekend and a great week, and take care.